This is your stove, which you'll use to cook your food. On the top are heating elements. You'll do your cooking in pots and pans. Not directly on the element. Doing that will burn your food and could start a fire. This is how you control the element. You push this knob in to turn on the element. The further you turn it, the hotter the element will get. Be sure to turn the element off when you're finished cooking. These elements should be cleaned once a month. Before you start, make sure the element is off and cool. Remove the element like this. Next, remove the liner and drip pan and throw the liner away. This ring comes out like this. You can wash the ring and drip pan in hot soapy water. Dry them, then replace the ring, drip pan, and liner. Plug in the element like this. Never cover the ring with foil. It can cause electrical problems with your stove. When you're cooking on the elements, don't leave food unattended. Pots can boil dry and food can burn, both of which are fire hazards. Use the timer on your stove to remind you when food is done. If your stove doesn't have a timer, it's a good idea to buy one. Don't place other electrical appliances near the stove. The cords can fall on a hot element and start a fire. Keeping the stovetop and the area around it clean can also reduce the risk of fire. This is your oven. It's used for baking and cooking larger items like chickens or roasts. Turn the oven on by turning this knob. The further to the right you turn it, the hotter the oven gets. The light goes on when you turn the oven on. It goes out when the oven reaches the set temperature, and when you turn it off, of course. Set the oven to the temperature in your recipe. It will stay at that temperature until your food is done. After you take the food out of the oven, be sure to turn the oven off. The oven is only for cooking. It's not used for storage. This drawer under the oven is for storage. The oven is also not to be used for heating your apartment. This is dangerous. The oven has to be cleaned regularly, which means at least once a month. Use an oven cleaner. Put on rubber gloves, then spray the cleaner onto the walls of the oven. Let it sit for the amount of time it says on the package. Then wipe it off. The longer you wait between cleanings, the harder the job will be. Since the oven has to be clean if you decide to move, it's better to do it regularly. Counters are work surfaces, but you shouldn't use them for cutting. Use a cutting board instead. Having cut marks on the countertop makes it difficult to clean your counters properly and can make your food unsafe to eat. That's why damaged countertops will have to be replaced at your expense. Wipe your counters daily and your cupboards at least once a week. You don't have to buy special soap for this. Water with a small amount of vinegar in it will work just as well. You should never take a hot pot from the stove and put it directly on a kitchen counter. The material counters are made of isn't heat resistant, so a hot pot can melt or even burn your counter. Once again, if you damage a counter in this way, you'll have to pay to have it replaced. If something in a pot catches fire, don't panic. Use a lid to smother it. What you don't want to do is throw water on the fire or put the pot in the sink to try to put the fire out. Putting water on a really hot surface can make the water explode, which will actually spread the fire instead of dousing it. For more information on what to do if there's a fire, please watch the safety section of this program. Your kitchen sink provides hot and cold running water for food preparation, cooking, and washing. While it's easy to rinse food scraps down the drain in the sink, it's not a good idea. Sink drains were meant for water only. If you put down anything else, your sink may become plugged. All food scraps should be put in the garbage. And if there's grease left over from cooking, collect it in an empty can. When the grease is cooled and hardened, put the can in the garbage. Check under the sink regularly to make sure the pipes aren't leaking. If they are, call your caretaker. Standing water under your sink could cause mold buildup and could damage the ceiling of the apartment below you. Also, leaks waste water, which is never good. There are two main places to store food in your apartment: the cupboards and the refrigerator. In the cupboards, you can put canned goods and dry bulk foods like pasta and rice. The best way to store dry bulk food is in sealable plastic containers, where it will stay dry and protected. Any foods that can spoil, milk and dairy products, meat, fruit and vegetables, last much longer if you put them in the refrigerator. The refrigerator, which is also called a fridge, has two compartments. The lower, larger one keeps food cool, which can make it last days longer. This is the temperature control for the fridge. It should be left at the preset temperature, which is medium. The lower compartment should be cleaned with soap and water once a month to keep down smells and stop mold and bacteria from growing. Don't leave food inside for a long time, that is weeks, because even at a lower temperature, it will still eventually spoil, and eating spoiled food can make you very sick. As a general rule, if you've opened something, cover it and put it in the fridge. Not only does open food spoil more quickly, but it can also attract bugs, which can cause health problems and can be very expensive to get rid of. Like the stove, the fridge has to be cleaned if you decide to move. As with any cleaning job, this is much easier if you do it regularly. And remember, if your landlord has to hire a cleaner, you will have to pay. The upper compartment freezes food, which lets it last for weeks or even months. This is the temperature control for the freezer. It should be left at the preset temperature, which is medium. Just like the rest of the fridge, keep the freezer compartment clean. Frozen food lasts for a long time, but not forever. So it's a good idea to put dates on the foods in your freezer. And don't overfill your freezer. That can stop it from working. If your frozen food starts to thaw, call your caretaker. Your fridge may need repairing.